Wright will be behind bars. In St. Paul, leaders want to do something about gun control, but a new ordinance they are going to bring forward can't be enforced under state law. So we'll have that and more coming up in just a moment.
But let's start, though, with meteorologist Sean McAday with your weather on the 9s. Hi, Sean.
Hi, how you doing? It's a great afternoon.
It is a pretty day.
Yeah, I mean, it was the same thing this morning as yesterday. We started off with clouds. It was gloomy. There was even a couple of light drips in spots. None of that behind me now. This is outside our station in Eden Prairie. Looking pretty nice. And not only is it looking nice, it is nice. 72 degrees for mid-October. That is a very nice day. Winds out of the southwest, not as quite as windy as yesterday. Just a gorgeous afternoon. It really opened up after like 2 o'clock or so. There were some of those rays of sunshine at 1 o'clock. Then by 2 o'clock, it was like, okay, the clouds, I can see they're really starting to clear away. You go south and east of the metro, this is where all the warm air is held. Temps in the 70s, but the minute you get towards St. Cloud or Hinckley or Duluth, there's the cooler air. It's in the 60s. That is slowly going to try and drift in over the next 24 hours. Tomorrow will not be as warm as today. If you're a fan of 70s, get outside in about half an hour when we're done with the news. There you go, because that is going to be a great opportunity to soak in the last rays of sunshine with 70s. We are not going to get many more days in the 70s. We'll have to see about that. Coming our way, coming tomorrow, some clouds drifting in out of the west and a couple of raindrops in the afternoon. I'll be talking about that. Stay here.
All right. We have to enjoy these days when we can.
Absolutely.
We'll take it. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Well, our top story here at 5, Minneapolis teachers may be approaching another strike less than 18 months since ratifying their last contract with the school district.
A strike authorization vote is coming next week. Fox 9's Mike Manzoni joins us from the newsroom with more on this. And Mike, the last contract was hailed as historic. Why is a strike even on?
The union says many teachers are living paycheck to paycheck and working multiple jobs just to pay their bills. The Minneapolis Federation of Educators wants smaller class sizes, caseload caps for special education staffers, and better pay. Minneapolis teachers last went on strike back in 2022. Students ended up missing 14 days of class as the strike dragged on for nearly 3 weeks. Minneapolis Public Schools sent us a statement saying in part, quote, while the district's budget is tighter than ever due to the historic underfunding of public education and expenses outpacing our revenue, we hope to reach an agreement that is fair, student-centered, and ensures the district can thrive even if there are state and federal funding cuts. The district faces a $75 million budget shortfall this school year. Both sides will meet again on Tuesday. If teachers vote to strike next week, they'll have to give the district at least 10 days notice before starting that strike. In the newsroom, Mike Manzoni, Fox 9.
All right, thank you, Mike. Well, he was once a trusted figure in the classroom and previously named Minnesota Teacher of the Year. But now he'll spend more than a decade behind bars.
And this afternoon, a judge handed down the sentence for Abdul Wright, who was convicted of sexually abusing one of his middle school students.
Fox 9 investigator Nathan O'Neill has followed this case for more than a year now and was inside the courtroom today.
It was a powerful moment from the judge today as she sentenced the former Minnesota Teacher of the Year to more than 14 years in prison. The judge saying that Abdul Wright is still a threat to public safety. Abdul Wright sexually abused his 14-year-old student on multiple occasions, including at the school where he taught at the time, Harvest Best Academy in Minneapolis. The abuse began in 2017, shortly after he was named Minnesota Teacher of the Year.
I am Abdul Wright. I'm Minnesota's State Teacher of the Year.
Wright's conviction hinged on the testimony of his former student, who told the Fox 9 investigators previously that the abuse lasted almost a year. Do you believe that it was grooming?
Yes. I just don't think anything that happened was a coincidence. I think it was all premeditated.
There was also that incriminating phone call where Wright appears to confess to the crime.
I ain't never did no shit like that before. And I thank God this morning when I didn't have the police at my door. I swear to God I did.
During the hearing today, Wright apologized to the student who was not in the courtroom. But the judge admonished Wright, saying, quote, I never know what to believe what comes out of your mouth. I hope you mean what you said. Now, during the state's arguments for that 14-year sentence, they brought up previous sexual assault allegations surrounding Wright. which the Fox 9 investigators have previously reported on. You can find all of our stories on fox9.com. For the Fox 9 investigators.
Well, a spokesperson for Harvest Best Academy said the school is thankful that Wright has been held accountable for his actions. The school is also the subject of a civil lawsuit for not doing enough to protect the students. Well, throughout the week, we have invited 5 Minneapolis mayoral candidates to share their plans for the city if they're elected. Today, we wrapped up the week with Brenda Short.
Short is a business owner, and we asked her about homeless encampments and affordable housing. And here's what she had to say.
First of all, we shouldn't even have encampments at all. We have multiple apartments that have been empty for years, and this should never happen. Minneapolis is big enough to handle all of the unhoused neighbors and help them with wraparound services. To focus on encampments alone, people are forgetting, because I was unhoused. When you do those sweeps, you lose your driver's license, your social security number, your birth certificate, your identity. They can't get any help. And sometimes they lose their cell phone. And because of that, they can't even get the help they deserve. Or when it's time for them to get a bed, they need to figure out how to get a cell phone to remember whose number they needed to reach out to. We have many abandoned houses right now that the city is paying for. Those property taxes, I would start focusing on separating the individuals who need a home and who wants a home, and start forcing them into these abandoned houses, because they are there. We are already paying those property taxes. The community pays them directly to cover the costs, and start making sure those homes are livable for them, and then really work on real wraparound services.
So unfortunately, Brenda's connection cut off soon after that, so we were unable to finish our entire interview with her today.
We are planning to reschedule with her so she gets a full 10 minutes like the other candidates.
Yeah, in the meantime, though, if you would still like to watch the full conversations with the other 4 candidates that we have had on all day this week, you can go to Fox Local or fox9.com. And for more in-depth segments on the stories affecting our everyday lives, you can join us for Fox 9 All Day every weekday from noon to 2 o'clock on Fox 9 and Fox Local.
The city of St. Paul appears to be planning to introduce a gun violence prevention ordinance next week. The thing is, they can't even enforce it under state law. Now, that ordinance would ban public possession of assault weapons, large capacity magazines, and binary triggers within St. Paul. Ghost guns would also be against the law, with a requirement that all guns have serial numbers. Right now, state law prevents individual cities from installing their own firearms bans. St. Paul officials are still going to present that ordinance at the next city council meeting next week.
President Trump hosting Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky at the White House just a day after speaking with Russian President Vladimir Putin by phone. The president is hoping ongoing talks with the two leaders will finally bring an end to the war in Ukraine. Fox's Mike Emanuel has more from Washington.
It's an honor to be with a very strong leader.
President Trump looking to keep up the momentum from this week's hostage deal in Gaza, meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky at the White House. The two presidents are hoping they can bring an end to more than 3.5 years of fighting.
Putin is not ready. I think not ready, but I think that I'm confident that with your help, we can stop this war.
Mr. Trump spoke with Russian President Vladimir Putin by phone on Thursday and said the two are planning to meet in person in Budapest, Hungary in the coming weeks. Trump is hoping to build upon their last summit in Alaska in August.
It began with Alaska, where I think certain guidelines were discussed, and we want to see if we can get this done.
Since that meeting, Russia has launched some of its largest aerial attacks of the war, violated the airspace of several countries, and shown no willingness to negotiate.
Putin has escalated the war against Ukraine, principally on civilians, and he expanded it in terms of military incursions into NATO countries.
If Putin won't come to the table, Zelensky is hoping long-range Tomahawk missiles from the U.S. will change his mind.
We're going to be talking about that. That's why we're here.
Sending Ukraine weapons that can potentially reach Moscow, that is scary to Putin.
Ahead of a second Trump-Putin summit, Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Russia's foreign minister are expected to meet next week in Budapest. In Washington, Mike Emanuel, Fox News.
Back here at home, the maroon and gold getting ready to take on a conference rival under some Friday night lights.
Our Corin Hoggart is hanging out with some tailgating Gopher fans, so we'll check in with him and see what they are up to coming up next.
And then we look to Sunday with the Eagles coming to town to play the Vikings team coming off a much-needed bye week.
Yeah, we'll hear what head coach Kevin O'Connell had to say about the team's starting lineup. That's next here at 5.